the Bliss Business Podcast, the show about empathy, connection, and consciousness in business. Today's episode is brought to you by Zero Company, your paid search, social media, and programmatic ad experts.
Welcome back to the show. The future of business and AI might very well be determined by how we define purpose in business. Is it about profit or is it about people and profit? Today, we're going to discuss how AI might impact the future workplace. I'm Stephen Skach here once again with Tulio Siragusa and Mike Lusky. Mike, introduce our guest today.
Thanks so much, Stephen. And I'm pumped today. The energy is high and I can't wait for the discussion with our guests. As advertised, we're excited to welcome Xiaochen Zhang, a pioneering force in the realms of blockchain, fintech, and AI. As the founder and president of Fintech for Good, Xiaochen leads global initiatives that harness the power of technology for sustainable development and social impact. His work spans advising governments, corporations, and startups on how to leverage innovative technologies to create meaningful change. Xiaochen's innovative work with AI 2030 and his leadership at Fintech for Good make him the perfect guest to discuss the future of AI and its implications for business and society. His efforts in promoting financial inclusion and sustainability have earned him recognition as a global blockchain leader by Lattice 80 and a top 10 fintech influencer by Analytica. In this episode, we'll explore Xiaochen's insights on the future of AI, its disruptive potential, and the balance between technological growth and societal consciousness. We'll dive into questions like what makes him optimistic about AI's future, the potential disruptions AI might cause in the workplace, and how prepared we are as a society for some of these changes. We'll also discuss AI mentors and the critical importance of a culture of learning and personal growth in an AI-driven future. Lastly, Xiaochen will share details about the upcoming AI conference and other exciting projects that he's working on. Let's dive into these critical topics and welcome the remarkable Xiaochen Zhang to the podcast. Welcome.
Thank you.
Xiaochen, what are you most optimistic about with the future of AI?
I think definitely is, from the efficiency gain. And when we just talk about, if we take the whole world as a system, and naturally, the system is accumulating a lot of costs. The cost of communication, the cost of finding information, the cost of operation, and all those costs are just making the system very heavy. And from the system theory, that's the system collapsed because of those kind of costs. Where that's when we have AI, naturally, that's many of those costs in the system can be addressed by efficiency gain. And there, that no matter we talk about having the AI bot or AI agent to just summarize all the information, provided that information directly to the final users, or just to remove some of the process which is just redundant, or just to introducing new way of doing things where that's many of those type of time span or intermediaries who are involved in the process can be removed by just making the system much smaller, much more connected, and the relationship between the final user and the solution provider to becoming a lot closer. That can just address a lot of systematic related problem that we face as of now.
Yeah, I think too, when I think about that, I think maybe like the speed in healthcare and things sometimes, just when you've got those decisions and stuff to be made, really quickly, but be able to bring all that systematic information and all the different possibilities in together, and within a fraction of a second, have that at your fingertips. I mean, something like that is like literally, life and death, the sort of struggle there. What keeps you up at night when it comes to AI?
Yeah, that's come back to why did I started the AI 2030, and that's exactly the main reason. And where, although AI is exciting and it has a lot of benefits, but if we don't do it properly, irresponsibly, and then the consequences will be irreversible. And, that is not just the impact of one person, one company, and then the whole, the whole humanity may be impacted in a very different way. And there that we identified or developed our AI 2030 framework and responsible AI framework, which include the 6 pillars. AI need to be developed with the consideration of sustainability, privacy preserve, accountability, fairness, safe and secure. And all those pillars are really important. If any pillar are not being properly addressed within an AI system, naturally, the final users could be getting impacted. The society can be impacted. A good example is that if you are a financial service company and introducing AI product for loans or insurance and all that, and if your AI have bias, and naturally your customer are being declined for no reason, you don't want to be that service provider. And then, again, in a similar setting, that if your regulator asks you, your AI system makes, certain decision impact your final customer, me as regulator, we want to know what happened. You tell the regulator, sorry, and it's AI made, and we cannot explain that. That is not good enough, and then you may just, face a serious consequence. And then when we look at, the security safety side, that if we just have AI system, for example, running our city, running our transportation system, and if AI system fails, and naturally you can imagine if you don't have AI developed in the way that's the governance is being governance structure is being established properly, and the safety and the security part are being addressed properly, and you may just really face this mass transportation related challenge, even it's life and death related situation. So that's why to make AI responsible is critical. And of course, if you just expand that from a corporate view into the humanity, and then we are seeing the artificial general intelligence may come to becoming a reality. And if say now, and without the broader new social consensus, if Gen AI is being used to managing the weapon with a destructive weapon, and then AI could just cause the humanity related whole damage at that great level. So there are tons of things where that we need to just dive deep into how to make sure that AI still serve human, and then it's the humanity still have a future with AI as a assistant.
Yeah, I think you mentioned like AI is a reflection of humanity, right? So that's going to be good and bad, possibly, for better, for worse. And I think, like you mentioned, do you think like the genie is out of the bottle with AI, where it could just go for worse in some way with what's out there right now? Or do we still have time to be more responsible, to reel it in? I feel like we're kind of 50-50 on that, but
yeah, I agree with you on that, because again, that's you ask the most known scholars in AI, and then they will just tell you a lot of things that's what we are using now they cannot explain. They invented the concept, they invented the system, they invented the algorithm behind it, and then a lot of, then they will just be very clear, we don't know that. So that is definitely a answer which is not good enough. But there are also great efforts putting there, and then crowdsourced great brain power behind trying to make AI explainable. Another piece is that when just if you pay attention to the AI index, which was introduced by Stanford or launched by Stanford University just a few weeks ago, and then they were talking about now before AI has been playing this dominating role, where research agenda mostly is being just defined by the research community. But because of, for example, large language model, the cost of training large language model is so high, and the Google Gemini, and then the training cost is over 200 million. So no, university can compete that way. Then because of those cost-related issue, and there is a tendency, the future research agenda may be dominated by the corporate. So that in itself is alarming, and where that if the corporate is traditionally is really already dominating the application of research results, and if then combine that implementation related power together with the research related power, bring them together, and then you will see a future which really there will be corporate dominance. That itself, I think, definitely a lot more questions need to be asked. And then to just see if that future is inevitable, but what guardrails need should we put in place to make sure that no matter who is influenced the humanity future, and it's a future that we as humans still have a future.
Yeah. You've given us a pretty broad view of a number of the areas that AI is going to impact. I want to focus in a little bit more, if we could, on the impact it's going to have on the workplace. And are we actually truly ready for what's coming? And do people even understand what's really coming? What's your perspective on this? Without guardrails, what could happen? And with the proper guardrails, how does that change the way we work?
Yeah, this is a very interesting question, because on a daily basis, and the corporate executives, board of directors, all the technical folks reach out to me and discuss very different questions they face, and many times, and I find that none of them are ready. So that is the basic assessment, meaning that at the board level, and the board of directors are making those decisions or ask those fundamental questions, which really guide the company to develop in the long term. But a lot of time that's because of board of directors knowledge and exposure in AI, especially responsible AI, is very limited. So a lot of questions that they are asking are not relevant anymore. And if the board of director cannot guide you by asking the right question, you can imagine that's how the company will just behave in the long future. And number one question that's I always hope that the board of director can really look into it in AI space is really ask about the governance, for example. And if an AI system, a company introducing AI system, and then really control life and death situation for individuals or for humans, and then the question at the board level need to be asked, who is controlling that, and if anything goes wrong, what is the remedies, and have you resources properly when people are just building the AI system in your team? Have you resources properly? You have different expertise in addition to the technical engineering expertise. Have you brought humanity and other expertise into those building process? So a lot of those questions need to be asked at the board level, and then which is not being asked. And then at the executive level, where that's naturally that's just 2 days ago, I did a presentation for the oil, gas, and energy industry. And one of the core messages I sent to them is that the most important AI model is really business model. And what does that mean? That a lot of the business model, AI related business model, are not there yet, and nobody has seen that in the past. So if you are an executive, you are not really looking for that the most important AI model, which are not existing now. You didn't invest in that. You didn't try to find it. And maybe in the near future, although everything you did everything right by running your business as of solving the customer problem as of now, but your business will not be relevant in the near future. So in that, what's the exactly need to be asking is really around business models. When you look at business model, you're asking questions around the technology, people, process. Do we have the right people with right skill set? Do we have the right process, which can, include both internal and external innovation, and then to open up our business model related discussion so that our business model can be informed by broader brain power outside from the organization. Then when you look at also, the technology side, that's any of the larger company and are solving or serving a large, customer base. Everyone, all the customers have some urgent problem need to be addressed now. So many of the executives really just have only bandwidth to look at now, solving problem now. But if you really don't intentionally to just really identify what technology is going to impact my business and then allocate the time for yourself, for your leadership, and then in the near future, and then again, your business will not be relevant. Those problems, those solutions which are effective today may just be a joke for tomorrow, and then you don't want to be that joke.
This is very interesting. Sorry, I just wanted to close on this. Okay. It's very interesting. We've talked about this extensively on this podcast. The fact that this impacts people in a great way, and a lot of company cultures just really lack the focus on the impact that any decision from the board level actually has on people. So this is going to probably highlight some of those flaws, if you will, in a very rapid way. And I think it's going to be a huge disruption for sure.
Yeah, I want to give you a quick example on that. When people talk about Gen AI related disruption for a company, and the number one is job displacement. And the corporate executive think that, Gen AI can generative, related capability can replace many of those process-driven job roles. And naturally, and the number one, strategy we have seen in the market is that, lay people off. But when you just think about, how can new business model emerge? And those, you need people who know your business, know your customer, know your traditional technology solutions, and also know about the future technologies. And by just getting rid of people who have served your customers for a long time, know exactly the customer pain points, and know your internal process, and also know, where things go wrong, you get rid of a lot of them, and you place, AI there. And in the short run, and then I think that from the cost saving, yes, that may just give you a better, balance sheet, and then to just, incentivize shareholders to just have buy-in. But in the long run, you lost the best assets, which can help you to redesign your business model, redesign your work, and also to just bring in new competitiveness, which doesn't exist in your company. And you lost that assets to reinventing together with you. And I think a lot of the companies just don't have that kind of insights, and then to just allow, those individual or talents to stay with them and figure things out.
This is where I think, we've discussed this on this podcast, and why I think it's so important that you develop this sort of conscious capitalist business model when we're going into this, because traditional business model, it's just, hey, shareholder, investor value. That's where our sole purpose is to create that. And what you're missing out of there is all these other stakeholders that are at play and work there. So you got your employees, your customers, your vendors, your communities. And so if your purpose is thinking about all those different people in this process, I don't think you're just going to steamroll over them as much as if you're just solely focused on this one intent and purpose of just sole profit. So that's why we introed this podcast. It was like, is it about people and profit, or is it about profit? Because we're going into the unknown with AI and these new business models we don't even know. it really needs to be about this sort of conscious approach, where you're considering all these different people that are sitting at the table here. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, and I think that again, that this consciousness in running the business is really something which have been discussed for long, but when it's just go to serious decision making was marginalized. When we if we're just looking at all the corporate social responsibility as a concept emerge, and then we have impact investors, purpose investors. So a lot of times all these concepts are evolving, but even evolving till now, and then still people whose expertise are aligned there sit in a department which is marginalized in the organization. So those are to just taking care of that element which are not part of the core business. And then the mainstreaming is very difficult, and it's just more as a branding and the customer engagement, all that. It's not really to put that into the core business and think about how that will be impacted the bottom line of the company. I think in the future with AI, and naturally I think this is really the time where that if company don't really just have that consciousness to integrate their internal employee together with external customer, and then bring the whole ecosystem in. When I see the ecosystem, that including the raw materials from the physical and the air, water, the environment, and also the talent, and you can crowdsource outside of your organization, then the technologies that you can really leverage, and those are becoming the core component for you to reinventing the business model and to define how different you are with others, and how you can just be still keep yourself relevant. That is very important.
Excellent. Well, that's a very strong point. And then I think to go with that, and even to your points that you were talking about earlier about the lack of governance that may exist, I saw a report recently from the World Economic Forum that stated that about 55% of companies have started to implement AI in at least one business unit. But I think in terms of what you're saying is it's getting ahead of the governance, right? The development is getting ahead of the governance, which can definitely be scary. So Xiaochen, I'm curious, you mentioned the board, right, of some of these companies, but through the work that you're doing with AI 2030, who else do you think really has to hear this message? Who are the types of people that you're trying to reach, and how have you found success, at least today, in getting that message out there?
Yeah, and first, I come from, from the facts you shared earlier, and then, go to the last question. And, a lot of company organization are doing, the survey, trying to understand the situation. I'm just quoting one of the research being done by IBM in, 2023, that they were asking, through the survey, that organization know that, AI must be trusted. And then they ask, and then 83% of people think, fill the survey and say that, yes, we think that AI must be trusted. But then when you just look at the actions part, and 27% are working on reducing bias, 40% are working on tracking data provenance, 23% are working on ensuring explainability of decisions, 40% are working on developing ethical policies. As you can see, those data don't match. Yeah. And it's becoming like everyone knows something needs to be done, and in reality, nobody is doing it. So then you go back to, answer the question you have, that because you don't have the governance, being put in place, where that's there are insights, there are things that should be done, need to be done, because nobody is accountable for those insights. And finally, no resource being allocated, nobody is being accountable for no action. And finally, that you have after years, you can see that we know that, but we have not done that, and then we become irrelevant. So that's why bringing that governance structure at the beginning, and then set at the top, from the number one layer still is the board of director layer. Yeah. And then the second layer is around your executive, and the executive really interesting again at a conference, and then after my keynote, and then several technical people go to me and see that I resonate with what you said, but we want to do AI responsibly, but my leadership in my department or my organization just don't allow us to do it. Mm-hmm. And we just don't have the mandate and then to do anything. And on a daily basis, I have 20 to 30 highly technical people working for the best organization, reaching out to me and want to join AI 2030, and telling me that we are doing technical work, very exciting work, but not in the way that's I from my value, I align that work with my value. So I want to find something more aligned with my value. So as you can see at the technical level, they need to be enabled. So that enabling environment also need to be created by the leadership. And the last part is that the general public, because interestingly, when you just look at human history, that's we always compromise as humans, and we claim we want something, but to just exchange that with convenience, we always choose convenience rather than what we believe. And a good example is, we all know that before you sign a contract, we should read the contract. But who is just reading all that privacy related, contract from downloading an app? Similar thing to now use ChatGPT or other Gen AI, where that you put your personal information there, and then your information now can be reached, including who you are and all your business, everything are out there in the public. And so there are tons of things that individuals also need to just have a strong awareness, and then your current behavior may have a long-lasting impact in you. And also you can also demand for example, from the privacy side, through the public awareness campaign, that individual kind of desire can be reflected in the policy making, and then how your privacy can be protected in the future of AI evolution, and then mandate the corporate to protect you. Similar thing, to the learning, to safety and all that. A lot of time you need really at the corporate executive level, and then at the public level, both just giving push to the middle. And I think from the technical level, this is less of a concern, because a lot of technical experts very good in learning new things, and also are ready because they see the disruption, they see their job will be impacted. And I have heard a lot that they already changed from purely a data scientist to becoming an AI scientist or AI engineers, and then they can take in that kind of knowledge and skill set easily. But it's really just the top and the bottom. Those are really need to happen to make sure that the system really just evolve in a way which really not impact humanity in a negative way.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah. I mean, there's so many people that need to hear this message, right, and get involved.
Yeah. On that topic, really what we're going to see here is just this real shift in the economy, I think, right? Where we've seen that in the past. And so when you have these complex systems shift like that, so we went from agrarian economy to industrial economy, and we didn't really know where that was going with us. We all just went for it, and you just see all these sort of problems that get produced in those, new economy, new situation, new systems where you've got these new sort of cancers to the system in a way. So industrial revolution comes along, you've got this, all kinds of problems with environment or labor and human rights. So we're in the middle of this information age, but we really don't know what this sort of AI age will bring us and what those cancers might be. In the information age, we got problems with social media, things like that we're understanding, but we're just kind of plowing ahead. So what worries me though is that technology is kind of outpacing our consciousness really rapidly here. And you agree with that? I think that's what you're saying is we really got to step up here to the table and try and make sure all of the voices are heard, because it's stuff we just don't know what's going to happen with a lot of this.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, so that's just go back to the excitement of the whole community, where that's when AI 2030 was launched 1 year ago, and till now that we have 600 members. Why that? And all of them have great job, have great success in it, and they got concerned, and their voice within their own organization are not being heard properly, and then their expertise are not contributing to something aligned with their value. So I think that is exactly something really, as a message I got from those interactions, where that's, I think definitely more people care about it than the opportunity were given to them. And that is one thing. So how to create those opportunities to get them engaged, and then to just bring that consciousness to the company, to the society. I think that is number one. And number two is that, when you just think about, how to just bring the controllability back into humans' hand. Because with AI, the number one thing is that many company, many individual will feel like we lost control in our career, we lost control in our company, and we as humanity lost control of our fate against the AI. So the controllability part is definitely another thing that we need to be conscious of. Something we can control, something we just need to evolve our way of thinking to let it go. And good example about the jobs. And by 2025, there are over, according to IMF study, over 80 million jobs will be replaced by AI. And if you think about only you get only this message, and the number one thing is that you get worried. But then the report has another data set is over 90 some million of jobs will be created. So then you as an individual, or you as a company, or you as a government agency have need to spend some time to just when you hear this, you need to consume it and say, what is my strategy? Do I want to be included in that 80 million job which will be removed? Start thinking about just my life is doomed, or my company or my city's life is doomed, and doing nothing? Or you want to be in that camp which is thinking about, can I just create a job for others, or can I just take the new jobs defined in the future which doesn't exist now, and can I make my city becoming the main city, attracting those talents which just take on that 90 million jobs? So there is really a clear strategy that individual, company, and the government can take just from that one single part. The third analysis around that is really when you just look at the infrastructure and of development. So when you look at anytime in economic development, the economic development model always rely on the technology, and the technology build a foundation, and then to constrain what you can do, what you cannot do. And when we talk about the infrastructure in the industry age, and for example, a lot of time that people focus on building road, building railway, building airport, and that becoming very important. Then when you just move to the cloud related era, and there that you see many companies start building data centers and all that. So now that's when we are moving to the AI era, and from the infrastructure side, that infrastructure will be a lot more complex. It is just go beyond the combination of all that, because you need the infrastructure to run your AI, train your AI model, and also to just interact with other infrastructure in specific industry, and all that is a new type of infrastructure. And if you talk about the physical world versus digital world, then there's also in the digital world, AI related digital infrastructure, and a lot of new infrastructure need to be built to enable you to becoming competitive as an organization or as a city or as a country, and then as an individual level. And you, from this analysis, you can see a lot of new opportunity, new jobs will emerge, and then how you can just get that skill sets ready to just take ride with this rather than to just get replaced by that.
To your first point there, you talked a little bit about you had all these people coming to you right now who are kind of not feeling heard in their companies as far as the AI and the ramifications there, and not being able to make strides within their companies, I think was the worry in there. I know just a lot of people feel that same sort of thing. What for us, where we kind of see an opportunity is on the marketing side, is to first start out with like, what do you stand for as a company? What's your higher values? What's your higher purpose? How can we get that into your marketing message so that you're saying to everyone, this is what we're about? And then from there, it's like, okay, if you're saying this is what you're about, how can you be about it, right? How can you walk the walk after you're talking the talk? And so it brings me back to like, one of the things with our AI CMO where we really focus on is this purpose building of your company, or really define your purpose, because that's going to be this overall sort of governing thing with a lot of companies, where you can try and, when it comes to AI, you can say, hey, we have this higher purpose of this. We really need to make sure our AI technologies that we're using it for align with that purpose. So you get this alignment of values. And AI can be really good at making those values align across a company. Like, hey, this is what we're about. This is what we're about, everyone. So I think it really, to me, it comes back to really getting to that point that you get, if marketing can tell the story, this is what our higher purpose is about. And you get the executives to, buy into that too. Yes, we're about that. You get the board to buy in. That's what we're about. Then that might be your guiding light through some of this, your North Star. What do you think on that?
Yeah, I fully agree with you. When you just look at the gaps exist in organizations for them to take on AI, and some gaps are related to strategy level, where that's just the company doesn't have a strategy, and that's can be addressed in another way. And some at the operational level, they have a strategy, then they just don't have a process to just implement that. But more fundamentally, if they already have the strategy, they have the implementation plan, they have the process design, they don't know how to communicate that. So a lot of those misalignment, frustration, and occur because the plan, the process not being communicated properly. So I think that from the communication side, that's really play a fundamental role. Number one is when you just come up with your strategy, come up with your implementation plan, that need to be guided, or at least in collaboration with the marketing communication part, where that that this is what people. Because from marketing and communication, naturally, these are the job role who are the best in understanding what people are looking for and how people can just get your message. So, and then they have received a lot of signal internally and externally. So then, how to translate that insights to guide the strategy and the implementation plan, that is important. Then once you have that, and a lot of changing process fail because of that communication is not being done properly internally. And then if you just go to internally, some changing process worked, but then the customers didn't buy your new strategy, and then because of, again, that message didn't align with their value. And especially for those organizations who have longer history have been there for a long time, and where that they have already a customer base, and the customer have their behavior changes really take time, and where that you don't really have the right marketing, communication related messaging, approach, channels, and all that elements. And then you have the brilliant strategy, new product, and all that, and then you just don't have the trust from your customer, and then you still cannot be successful. So I think that's why those AI-based CMO offer and can be really very important part of the the whole package for a company to address their AI-related challenge.
It's a great point. Yep. And I mean, that's why we were trying so hard with really trying to get marketing to be a driver in the future. So Xiaochen, curious about your thoughts with regards to the rise of the AI mentor, and then also what do you think the importance will be of having say a learning or a personal growth type of approach in the future?
Yeah, I'm doing due diligence of one of those company, and for they were looking for investment, and I like the concept, and because it's very clear, and for mentorship, if it's a human to human, and your mentor only have this much of time, and so does the mentee, and also you can, as a mentor, you can only know this much of the mentee. You don't have sufficient information, and also from the convenience side, that the mentee want to talk now at this moment, not defined in a month, and then those moment is gone. Then that's thing that they want to just get it across, get feedback. That time disappear. So to have the AI mentor at a time, have all your data, and to give you that feedback, serve as your sounding board, is critical as part of personal growth. And then that's exactly where this platform was doing, and where that's they ask the person who is using the platform to every day record something like a half an hour something, or you just record yourself, upload that your information to train your mentor, and then your mentor know more about you, and then can give, and then based on the large language model behind it, processing your information, give you that kind of feedback on spot, and then you have you have access to them 24/7. So that makes sense. But of course, that's I also see the challenge. The challenge mostly is that for a human mentor, and a lot of time that's very situational, and also this personal background and empathy, and also something irrational, and something really not logical can be very important, inspired during the process, giving that can be very inspiring. But from the AI mentor, and a lot of because it's a summarization of the data from us and all that, to give you a very rational process, decision, and all that. A lot of those may be good, but it may not be good enough. And another part is that the tendency is that AI mentor always is a yes man, and from the human mentor you get a lot of no. and this you cannot do, that you cannot do. And this is for an AI mentor. Naturally, you will get a lot of whatever you want to do, and then you can do it. I gave you 10 ways of doing it, so you may just go to a wrong direction, and then AI mentor just lead you to do in the wrong thing and in a brilliant way, and then that lead you to failure. So that could also be a consequence.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, haven't really thought about that, but yeah, I guess that would be the case. But one of the things I think of all good leaders is that we have this characteristic perhaps of never stop learning, right? Just maybe how we learn might change, but we'll have to continue to learn.
Yeah, and I think too, that's kind of the future of business. Is really, it's going to be with AI, it's going to help us learn a lot, right? And a lot of personal growth opportunities in there. And with that, Xiaochen, what would you say when someone says love doesn't belong in business?
Yeah, and then I would just say that if love doesn't belong to your business will not be relevant very soon. So yeah, I think that is critical. And one thing any company need to care about your customer. So if you don't love your customer, you don't know their problem, you cannot solve their problem, you are not relevant to them, and of course your profit will not be there, because they will not just using their money to vote for you. And if you don't love your employee, and naturally you don't have loyalty from your employee, and then they can just again, especially in the AI era, and to just start a company is so easy with such a little cost, and many the brilliant talent can start something brilliant, exciting at a very low cost, and then they can be your best competitor. If you don't love them enough, you create the best competition for yourself. And then of course that's if you didn't love others within your staff, and then people who, again, brilliant people who say that you don't treat my colleague in the right way, and then that is how you are going to treat me in the future, you lose the broader trust from your staff or talent. That is not good as well. Then you go to the broader community, and which is your broader customer base, who are not your customer, but in the future maybe your customer, may influence all your customers in one way or another. So if you don't love them, and so they live on this earth, they have their children, they are thinking about their future, their children's future. If you don't love the environment, if you don't love and then naturally that's your value don't align with their value, and then that value driven of purchase behavior will just drive you with a future which doesn't have a future. So I think that love is really the essence of a business. That's
great. I mean, that was well said. It was like a conscious capitalist answer right there, hitting on all the different levels. You have an AI conference in a few days. Tell us a little about that.
Yeah, definitely. And so one thing I'm passionate about is really just bring people together. My true belief is that by bringing in the right people together, and the great things will happen. So this is one of the efforts that we have the Chicago AI Week from June 25th to 28th, and with many partners like 1871, World Business Chicago, and Tech Analytics, and tons of partners. And within these 4 days, and we are focusing, day one we focus on AI, industry AI. So then we are looking at how different industry are being transformed by AI, and that include financial service, healthcare, and real estate, manufacture, and media, content creation, and all that. Then the second day is the impact day. We are looking at how to make AI responsible, and to address the 6 pillars we talked about, make AI secure, safe, transparent, accountable, and all that. Then we also have the session on women in AI leadership to talk about AI for all. We have AI for impact, talk about how to use AI to address the impact for problem, align AI with sustainable development goals. And the third day is the 1871 AI Innovation Summit, and which is really just bring the startups, the innovator together with the investors and to match them in the best way. And then the last day is the Web3Con, and to just bring blockchain and AI together, trying to see that this is the future. We have a decentralized future, which AI can make DLT or Web3 becoming more user friendly to address the adoption issue, where that's blockchain or Web3 can just help to address the trust related issue, which is one of the core issue for AI for further adoption. And we'll dive deep in on day 4. So within just these 4 days, we get more than 200 speakers join us, and all of them have great background. It will be a great gathering.
Any special announcements happening that we get a preview of, Xiaochen?
Definitely, and we have a couple of them. And number one is that we are going to have our Women in AI Leadership Award Gala. So this is one of the main program that we have this year and next year, because we have seen that women have played a very important role in AI advancement. But as any other emerging technology sector, naturally women's role are not being featured properly. And then we have to recognize that we are in the world is still a little bit male dominance, and how can we just create a society which is more equal, and then women share the same leadership roles, leadership voice. And so we have a program to just really identify AI women leaders, and then to feature their work, bring their voice to the world, and also help them in their professional growth by connecting them with the right other leaders who can help them to grow together. And we have another program which is called Responsible AI Pledge. So within the pledge, we have 3 different pledges. We have the Responsible AI Investor Pledge. The pledge will ask, help the investor to take on AI leadership responsibly. And there that we ask investor, you need to just include responsible AI as an investment vertical. And you also need to just look into what kind of AI related innovation you shouldn't invest to prevent AI to be used to destroy humanity. And then to also ask investor to regularly report their AI related investment and also the performance of their portfolio. Then when we look at the corporate responsible AI corporate pledge, we are looking at asking the corporate to take on any responsible AI framework, so then they are guided by the right principle. And we ask them to also look into how to just reporting that as well. So we have also the research pledge as well, guiding researchers, universities to do AI research, AI responsibly, and then for the betterment of humanity.
He's fighting the good fight. Xiaochen, thank you so much for your time today. Find him on fintech for good, ai2030.org. Great conversation. We could probably go for a while. Things are happening fast in AI, so we'll continue to keep that as part of our focus. And we'll see you again on the next Bliss Business Podcast.
Thank you.
See you, everybody.